Hey guys, Dr. Tammy here. Welcome to Live Tonight. We're doing the Advent menopause symptoms. So tonight we're doing day 5, which is mood changes that happen with menopause. So welcome people joining in. I'll just chat for a minute because I know there's still more people coming. So is it cold where you guys are? Comment. I'm freezing if you're cold. We're in Arkansas. It was so cold when I was coming home tonight. I'm still thawing out a little bit, I think. So, but I do like this time of year. Christmas is fun, and it always seems a little nicer when it's cold, like Colorado in the wintertime. It's always nice too. So, so it looks like a few folks are here. So I will go ahead and get started. So actually, hang tight just one second. Sorry about that. My cat was at the door wanting to go out, which is crazy because it's so cold out. And he was just going to stand over there and cry. So I thought I better let him go. And then one of my other cats came in when he went out. So anyway, so I do these lives every night at 7:00. I'm so glad you're here. All things hormones. And my passion is to help women understand the lies that are told and the truths that you deserve to hear. And I see patients all day long in clinic, and it's so frustrating to me. Just had a patient that we were talking about how long she suffered, and it was about 12 years that she's been absolutely miserable. And so if you've seen me draw out my graphs and the pictures of what menopause actually is, what menopause actually is, it's nuts because menopause is just a year without periods. Okay, TSH, I'll get to that question in just a second. And you guys, if I don't get to your questions, because I want to make sure I cover like what I promised to cover. So I'll try to get back to you at the end, or we can come back through and like I can go back and answer your messages later. So yeah, so she just suffered so long. So menopause is just a year without periods. That means absolutely nothing. When you hear that term, just shut that out. What is the problem is that we are in ovarian failure. And if you didn't have a thyroid, it would be cruel for them not to give you thyroid hormone, right? And nobody would say hormones cause cancer, which is nuts because there's so many different kinds of hormones, right? But our ovaries literally dry up. We are born with all the eggs we're ever going to have. And when those eggs are gone, then we don't have ovaries anymore. Literally, if you check an ultrasound on someone 5 to 10 years out from what we call menopause, a year without periods, you don't even see anything. The ultrasound report will actually say that they are gone, that they are dried up, or can't even visualize the ovaries. So women have ovarian failure and the ovarian hormones are gone. And we are expected to live like that from the age of 50, or if you've had a hysterectomy, until the grave. And that is cruel and it's mean. And there are so many symptoms. And the myth that hormones cause cancer is just ridiculous, because if you think about who gets cancer, it's usually not the young people who have lots of hormones. It's menopausal women like me, I'm 55, who have like no hormones. So it's crazy. So as long as it's done balanced and in a certain way, it is very safe and very protective. So, okay, I just get off my soapbox there. But anyway, somebody was saying just a minute ago that, what about TSH? So thyroid absolutely plays in. And I want to talk about a little bit into here about how that's going to tie in, because the 5th main symptom of menopause is not hot flashes. Hot flashes are down on the list. I just saw, can you start hormones in your 60s? Absolutely. And I'll kind of tell you a little bit why in just a minute. But hormones are down on the list, and there's so many reasons why it's just so ridiculous that we just think of hot flashes. We think of menopause and we think it's something you just get through and it takes a year or two. That is not true. Hormone, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, ovarian failure is till the grave. So don't even think about it like that. But when we talk about the main symptoms that bring women in to see me, we have talked about number one was fatigue. That's the number one thing, not hot flashes, it's fatigue. Number two is not sleeping. Number three is weight gain. And number four was brain fog. We did that last night. And number five is mood changes. And so, like the title is, do you feel like a Grinch? It's around Christmas time, right? So are you having fun for the holidays? And it's so cute because my patients I've been talking to, they're all happy about the holidays and everything. And, sometimes in the past, people have been like, they come in grumpy. And I always tell my nurses, when someone comes in for the first time as a new patient, do not judge them, because till they get on hormones, they can be like total witches. Like, I love Halloween time because I can say a witch then, but now we have to say Grinch because it's Christmas time, right? So with some of the mood changes that happen, why does that happen? Well, when we go into ovarian failure, basically when our ovaries dry up, we lose our three main female hormones, which is estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And why does that matter? Okay, so estrogen is the main hormone, and estrogen is actually protective. So what you've heard about estrogen causing cancer is just not true. And I do so many videos. Go back and look at my feed, and I will explain in all of those why that is not true. Estrogen is actually protective. If you take synthetic oral estrogen, like birth control, it can increase your risk of cancer, because natural estrogen works very differently than synthetic estrogen in the body, which is so crazy, because doctors out there will write for birth control in girls as early as 9 years old. And it's synthetic. It acts completely different in the body than organic bioidentical hormones. And they never tell them this could cause cancer, right? But we're in ovarian failure, and they refuse to give us safe hormones. So, I mean, that is just clown world, I call it. It's nuts. It makes me mad. But what happens when you have estrogen decline is a couple of things. Estrogen influences your production of something called serotonin. And I think a lot of people know what serotonin is. Serotonin is your happy hormone that keeps you calm and chill. And that's why Big Pharma wants you to have Prozac, because that actually keeps more of your serotonin around, which, if we talk about the dark agenda of why they don't want you to know about bioidentical hormones and the protection of these hormones, they want you on antidepressants. Almost 60% of women over menopause are on antidepressants. This is criminal. This is wrong. Those antidepressants make you tired, make you sexual side effects, make you gorked out, like you don't even care about anything anymore. Just tons of side effects with the antidepressants. And my disclaimer is, I'm a doctor, but not your doctor. So don't stop any medications. Make sure that, you talk with your provider. But if you're on those meds or you've been on different meds, that there's so many different side effects. So I'm just kind of opening the conversation for you to say, what I'm going through is not a Prozac deficiency. What I'm going through is ovarian failure. And every single woman goes through it over the age of 50, maybe it's 52, 55 for some women. But 100% of women, if they live over the age of 50, will experience ovarian failure. And that sounds terrible and serious, and it is. So I can't say that enough. And part of that ovarian failure is that decline of estrogen. So how else does estrogen affect your mood? Well, there's another hormone called dopamine in the brain, and dopamine is your super, super, super happy, over the top. I just feel wonderful. It's like the best chocolate chip cookies you've ever had. It's like trip to Colorado at Christmas time. I mean, it's just your happy, happy, happy hormone chemical in your brain. And estrogen helps regulate that. So one of the problems is that women who don't have the benefits of bioidentical hormone therapy or any kind of HRT can't really feel that happy, happy, happy because they don't have enough dopamine. So that is a real challenge when you're trying to get through your life and enjoy one of the best parts of your life when, your kids are grown and you can travel and you can do all these things and you can't even get excited about anything. I mean, you can't even have that feeling of like that euphoria when it's like the best chocolate chip cookies ever, right? So one of the things that happens with the dopamine being influenced by estrogen not being there is that another chemical called norepinephrine, which is also the chemical name for adrenaline. You probably know what adrenaline is if you've ever pulled out in front of a car and you've had that adrenaline attack, right? So your adrenals make that hormone called adrenaline, and that's what makes you feel anxious. So you have to calm down for like 10 minutes after you've had that adrenaline rush that goes all through your body. Well, if you don't have estrogen, you can't regulate, your adrenals can't regulate your adrenaline or your norepinephrine. And so you'll have heart palpitations just randomly, and you will feel anxious and for no reason. And women have go to the ER with panic attacks. And actually, heart disease is the number one killer of women. So I'm not telling you not to go to the ER and just say, oh, it's just my hormones. If you have chest pain, take care of that, go to the ER. But if you're having anxiety attacks on a regular basis where you just feel like the world is ending, that can be from estrogen decline, right? Or not having enough estrogen. So the next one is cortisol, and everybody knows about belly fat, but one of the things that happens is that your cortisol is also regulated by estrogen. Cortisol is your body's natural anti-inflammatory, and if you've ever had a cortisone shot, that's an anti-inflammatory, whether it's for colds or allergies. And so if you don't have that cortisol regulation, cortisol actually can help with inflammation. So inflammation is going to make you hurt. What happens when you hurt and you don't have your body's natural anti-inflammatory? You're going to be grumpy. I mean, who wouldn't be grumpy if they're achy or they hurt or their joints hurt? And one of the most common symptoms of menopause that nobody talks about, or you go to the doctor and they're like, oh, let's send you to ortho, is frozen shoulder. So pain in the shoulder, the physiology of that is nuts. But anyway, if you hurt and you have a lot of inflammation because your cortisol is not regulating, you're going to be grumpy, right? Okay, and sleep disruption. So progesterone is your main sleep hormone, which also affects melatonin. So if you're not sleeping, you're going to be super tired in the daytime. And are you ever happy when you're super tired? I mean, I know I'm not. If I stay up late working on a project or something, I am so grumpy. I'm the worst. So taking my hormones is so important because nobody wants to deal with grumpy Tammy. I remember in residency, sometimes the nurses would be, and I'm always trying to be nice, but they could just tell that I was not happy to be woken up in the middle of the night. For code, that's different. You got to go, right? But if it's just some silly question about Mrs. Jones in room 204 is constipated or something, I'm like, oh, really? I got to try to keep this together because I am feeling really grumpy and, so anyway. So hopefully that helps. So what are some things that you can do about it? Of course, bioidentical hormones and where you get them. Somebody asked after 60. Absolutely. That is one of the main myths that you will hear is that women out from that year without a period in ovarian failure can't take hormones. That is the most ridiculous thing. Well, it's not the most ridiculous. All of this stuff around hormones, which is why I come to you guys every night. All of this stuff around hormones is ridiculous. But to tell a woman that she can't have hormones is absolutely ridiculous. I have so many patients who come, and the worst story I've heard is a couple weeks ago, actually. A lady came and she'd been having hot flashes and night sweats for 20 years. And she was 72 years old and she started at 52. And she had begged doctors to test her hormones, had begged them for giving her some sort of HRT. And finally, she found me. We tested her hormones, got her on bioidentical HRT. And she said, at her follow-up, 2 weeks out, she said, I've slept every single night. I've gone 20 years without sleeping and not a single hot flash, not a single, waking up during the night. And she said someone had called her one morning and it was 7:30 and she actually was still asleep, and she said she was a little groggy when the phone rang. She like was so surprised because usually her sleep was just so, not good. And so for her to be like groggy to hear the phone ring was a little bit crazy. So anyway, oh, can you be my doctor for my hormones? Well, actually, my clinic is so full. We have such a waiting list, but one of my great passions was to, well, first of all, I want 50% of women on hormones by the time I finish this carbon experience, meaning pass on from this world, because I'm very passionate about this. And that's why I do this every night. But I wanted to make it accessible to everyone, or every woman, right? Well, guys need hormones too. But so we have an online program, and I think my moderator will drop it in the comments. It's hormonebliss.com. And you can go there and we can check your hormones. We'll send you a test kit, comes in the mail, you spit in a tube, and then you send it in, and we can look at your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and tell you how bad it is. And if you're feeling symptoms, I can tell you that it's probably bad. And then we can get you on bioidentical hormones. So you don't have to see me as a doctor. Our certified trained health coaches do everything, which is wonderful because I've had such a positive reaction to this. Black Friday, I couldn't even hold all the test kits that we got to send out. So it's so awesome. And so yoga teacher says, I'm on testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen. That is wonderful. Because a lot of times, even if you can find a doctor to put you on hormones, they'll just give you estrogen, which is terrible because your ovaries make more than estrogen. Your ovaries make progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, pregnenolone, lots of different hormones. So it's really important to have that balance and to have the protection to have all those hormones. And testosterone, super important. So I am so glad that you have a teacher, exactly. Yay. I'm super happy that we can do that for so many people now. Queen Stark says, what if your testosterone level is good, but everything else is low then? Okay. What is good, right? What is optimal? So that's where it comes in too, is that you have to have, say hi, optimal levels, you have to have higher than what they would tell you. And it's crazy because so many doctors, if you can get them to check an estrogen, progesterone, or testosterone level, will tell you that you're normal. And you know what is normal? 0. Now that is, quote, normal according to the labs because you have no more ovaries. So if you didn't have a thyroid and they checked your thyroid hormones and they knew that you didn't have a thyroid anymore, normal would be to not have any thyroid hormone show up on the test. But would you feel good? Absolutely, you would not. You would feel terrible if you almost would die. But without ovarian hormones, you die a pretty awful death. I mean, you crumble up, your skin crumbles. I mean, I think it's so important. I'm 55 and I feel like mentally like I'm 12, which can be a good and bad thing because I'm kind of goofy, but I feel amazing. I don't hurt anywhere. I sleep great. I have tons of energy. So, I mean, it is a lie that you have to get frumpy and fluffy and crumble up and, pee your pants and all the things you see in the nursing home that you have to break hips and stuff. That is all such a lie. It is not true. So I know I get a little preachy and I'm so sorry, but I'm so passionate about this. Telling you I sleep better, my skin feels great, and I have more energy than ever. Yay, I love it. So somebody mentioned pellets, and you guys can start pouring your questions in because I was just going to throw a few more things out, things you can do besides BRHT or with BHRT, a little dyslexic there. Breathing exercises, warm tea, 10-minute walks. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but none of that's going to take the place of hormones, right? So, but anyway, lots of things that you can do. I have a program. It's called Bedtime Bliss, and you can find that on my website too. But if you have trouble sleeping and things like that, but I have tons of like exercises and all things to help you sleep. So all that's great too for mood as well. So somebody said pellets. I'm not a huge fan of pellets. And the reason is, and I do pellets in my office, not saying don't do it, but I just had a patient recently that was going somewhere else for the pellets. They had her testosterone levels. Now, a female's testosterone levels are between 20 to 50. And I'm okay with a female having testosterone levels up to 100 or 150. This lady's testosterone was like 600. And she felt terrible and she was angry and aggressive. And a woman is not designed to have testosterone levels that high. And she begged me to take them out. She said she begged her clinic to take them out. And they said, oh, you're fine. It'll come down. It'll be fine. And she said she was just like agitated. She couldn't sleep. And so we did. We took it out. She said, if you won't take it out, I'm going to the ER. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. So we took it out. And she was so much happier. I mean, it was just, we treated her with the hormones that she needed. So unless a woman has been stable on estrogen, progesterone, testosterone for a while, I won't do pellets because I want to know what she's going to do with the hormones, what her body's going to do, what her adrenal glands are doing. So there's a lot of factors there. She says, I take pills and sublingual testosterone and a patch. So progesterone pills, I'm assuming. So that's a good regimen, actually. So I'd probably stick with that. That sounds good. Now, the dosing might need tweaked. So I'm not saying that, but the routes are fine. We use mostly creams because of the safety profile. And I don't worry a thing about putting people on hundreds of people out there with, just hormone coaches. They don't have to see me. I feel really comfortable about creams because they don't go through the liver and they're all natural. So they're very, very protective. So a person needs all of the hormones if on HRT. Yes, 100%, 100%. So one of the things that happened out of that study in 2002 that scared everybody, that had so many mistruths in it that were presented, was that, gosh, I don't even know how to unwrap this right now with the short time we have. But one of the things was that if you don't have a uterus, you can't get uterine cancer, so you don't need progesterone. And that's like saying, I have shoes, I don't need socks. Socks have a very distinctive function. So progesterone has a very distinct function for sleep, mostly. Testosterone helps with libido and energy and building muscle, which muscle burns fat for you. So if you want to be strong and not fall and break a hip, or you want to have energy, testosterone is wonderful for that. And drive, if you feel like nothing matters anymore, testosterone is really important for that because that's really what creates that drive. It's not just libido drive, it's energy drive. So yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the wonderful things that we do too, if you're having trouble finding somebody who will help you, is to get on all the hormones. So all of our hormone creams, compounds, everything have everything in it. So, and testosterone is so important. If nothing else, check out our website, hormonebliss.com. There's my little plug there. But get on some testosterone. Even if you're on a great estrogen patch and some progesterone pills, check us out and you can get on some testosterone and, rock your world and maybe your significant other's world. So that's really exciting to be able to have that totally safe. You got to get the right dose. So there's a little tweaking. So that's why we work with you on that. But I have had testosterone change so many women's lives because you know what? After 50, that is the highest divorce rate. And actually, I have a TV show too, if you want to ever look that up on YouTube, Dr. Tammy Tucker, lots of education. But it's just nuts. The divorce rate in women over 50 is the highest divorce rate of any part of the population. And part of that is, well, you're grumpy, you're not sleeping, you don't feel good. And then part of that is the libido issue, because if that's part of life, right? And if everything just dries up and shuts down, like what's the next thing? So if you think about it, like just getting some help or getting tested or getting on some hormones, it's a lot cheaper than a divorce, even if it's a little bit of an investment, right? So how old am I? 55 and happy to be 55. I feel wonderful. So you're never supposed to ask a lady that, but I don't care because I feel amazing. So 55 is, I wear that with pride. I absolutely love that. And I want everyone in their 50s, 55, whatever, to feel amazing. So let's see, any other questions I can just talk more about? Somebody asked me, what was it? It was about testosterone. I can't remember what that question was. Well, let's talk about mood just a little bit more. So a couple other things that can affect mood. This is pretty fascinating. I had a patient one time, we check vitamin D levels too, which are very important. Vitamin D is actually a hormone. And what's fascinating about that is it regulates the amount of ovarian hormones that are available to your tissues. So they're like little Ubers or taxis that carry your hormones around into the cells. So vitamin D regulates that. So if you have vitamin D deficiency, your hormones aren't going to get in the cells. And it doesn't matter what your blood says or what it's just not getting in there. So it's good to check vitamin D levels because vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. And so you can get too much. So you want to check levels. But as a routine, I usually say 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3 with some K to help it get in the cells in the summer. And because usually you get that sun exposure shift. And then 10,000 IUs in the winter. So, but it is a good idea to get your vitamin D levels checked. And our program can do that for you too, but very important. But vitamin D is super important. But when I talk about mood, this is a crazy story. One time I had a patient and she was extremely depressed, and she called her depression the sadness. She actually labeled it. And we checked her vitamin D levels. A normal vitamin D, now they'll say normal, what's normal, right? A normal vitamin D level is usually somewhere between 30 to 60, right? She had a vitamin D level of 19. And when we got her vitamin D levels up, her depression went away. Because if you think about it, what happens in the wintertime, people get depressed. They call it seasonal affective disorder, is that they're not getting enough sunlight to convert their vitamin D. So we got her vitamin D levels up and her sadness went away. I mean, totally lifted. And the thing that makes me really sad about that is that she had 2 family members who had committed suicide. And she just wondered, because that's a genetic thing when people can't convert their vitamin D. And we do genetic testing in our office too. And there's something called VDR, which is a vitamin D metabolism issue. And so those were family members that had committed suicide because they were so depressed. And it's just so sad to think that what if they had got therapy and they gotten treatment for vitamin D? So, that's part of that. Oh, and I do remember a while ago, somebody asked me about supplements. Oh, I get really passionate about supplements. So vitamin D is absolutely one that's super important. So this is crazy. My staff are all very young. They're like in their 30s, but they're super smart and super caring, very empathic. But they have had COVID. They've been sick. And I keep saying, oh my gosh, why are they getting sick, and knock on wood, and I'm not? I haven't been sick in like a year. And then it was just a little cold. And then I was like thinking, what's different? I'm the old lady in the office and they're sick constantly. Like one of them that had COVID a while ago, a couple weeks ago, I mean, she's still coughing from it, and I'm like, I'm exposed to these people all the time. So I take a handful of supplements every morning. You can ask my family, and a handful at night. And even my son, sometimes he's like, Mom, why do you take so many? And I'm like, because I am 55 years old and it's either that or it's a handful of pharmaceuticals. And I don't want to go there. And I won't feel good on those anyway. I feel better on things that my body needs. So a couple of supplements just to kind of go back to that question, what kind of supplements to use? Vitamin D for sure. Also the B vitamins, specifically B12 and folate. And it has to be, oh my gosh, my kitty's like wanting attention. It has to be methylated folate. And that's a whole thing. We'll do a talk some night on genetics, but not folic acid. Folic acid, just think acid bad, like acid will hurt you kind of thing, because it's a synthetic form of folate. And some people can't genetically metabolize that. So that's absolutely at the top of the list. And vitamin C is very big. I met a woman when I was in my 20s and she was in her 40s and she looked amazing. She was probably on hormones, but I don't know. 40, she's probably still okay. And I said, what's your secret? And she said, I take 4 grams of vitamin C every day. So I've been pretty religious about that because I'm like, wow, vitamin C is an antioxidant. Vitamin C helps regulate your iron, and low iron is, you can have so much fatigue from that, especially menstruating females losing their iron. So vitamin C is huge for that. I also take some brain supplements because I have a family history of dementia, Alzheimer's, and that sort of thing. So I am passionate about ginkgo biloba and DMAE and lots of things like that. So that's part of my regimen. And then, oh gosh, I take so many. If you guys are interested, inbox me and I'll give you a list of everything I take. But I also know from my genetic testing what I am prone to be deficient in, and also because I do nutritional testing. So it may be different for everybody, but if you just want my regimen, I'll send it to you, because I mean, there's a lot of it that's just really good. I have a crafted metabolic multivitamin, if you will, and so you can get that on our website too. It's amazing, so you can go there and check that out. And I have lots of supplements too. One of the things we do in our program is we can customize choices for you for supplements and help you find what the best is, because a lot of people just spend a crap ton of money on supplements and they don't even maybe need that particular one, but they're just trying to feel better. So of course, bioidentical hormones, you're going to feel a lot better, but then still we need that nutritional support, because if you look at the grocery store, even the vegetables, and a lot of people can't remember the time they ate a vegetable, right? I had salad for dinner, so I can speak to, I've had vegetables tonight. But the lettuce is white. The carrots are white. The tomatoes are white. They have no chlorophyll. They have no nutritional value in them, the minerals and all that. So I'm sorry, I have to tell you, you have to take supplements. And if you don't want to be sick and you want your immune system, you have to take vitamin D. You have to do all those things. So lots of things you can do. People ask me, I saw one comment a while ago. I forgot about two, sorry. She said, I can't take hormones. Would you recommend supplements? There are things you can take, like evening primrose oil that can help with hot flashes. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank. DIM, diethylmendolamine, can help with regulating estrogen levels. But I will tell you, and I can say this with all honesty in my heart, and you can look it up. Don't take my word for it. But if you are using well-balanced, bioidentical topical hormones, there is no reason, not cancer, not breast cancer, not uterine cancer, not heart disease, blood clots, anything. There is no reason why you can't take the same hormones that your ovaries once made. Now, can you take synthetic birth control? No, it'll kill you. Can you take synthetic hormones that the doctor, hormone pills that the doctor might throw at you, that big pharma? No, but bioidentical natural hormones, there is no contraindication. And I can say that with 100% certainty. And I will go head to head with anybody who wants to argue, but I'll have to have some nerdy science time and be able to draw pictures to show them and prove that. And doctors are not trained. I'm a medical doctor, but doctors don't get training in med school, I promise you, on how to correctly treat ovarian failure. And that is very sad, and it has to change. And that's what my mission is. So I think I got everybody's questions. So if I didn't get to you, I am here every night at 7 o'clock. Come back tomorrow night, tell your friends, and I'll just keep doing it as long as you guys keep showing up. I think I'm going to change the time after next week to 8 o'clock, because it's really hard for me to get home from clinic and eat and kind of unwind to come here and give you the energy that you need. But for now, 7 o'clock every night, tell your friends. Where else can you get a medical doctor to come and answer your questions and talk to you? And that's not me, being prideful or anything. It's just like, it's my heart to serve and to help people. Oh, one more question and then I'll bounce. Bioidentical hormones, I'm very interested in learning. So go to our website, hormonebliss.com. We have tons of information in there. Order a test kit, find out what your hormone levels are. I mean, it's totally accessible, safe, affordable. We're running a special this month. I keep forgetting to talk about that. It is our Christmas special, and our hormone lab test kits are usually $2.99, and they're only $1.19 this month. So go get that. Order some for your friends, your sisters. I mean, whoever, anybody that needs help with their hormones, and you're thinking that's what it is. I can pretty much guarantee you if you think that it is. But even perimenopause, estrogen dominance, PCOS, I mean, anybody can test their hormones. So just go to hormonebliss.com and get information and think about getting that test kit because it's only $119 for Christmas. Merry Christmas. So yeah, so I'm saying Merry Christmas. I'm going to say Merry Christmas. I love you all. Please have a wonderful night. And I'm going to get out of here, but I'll see you tomorrow.